So you thought it was just graffiti. Now it's a felony. So you go out and you know what? You're spray painting. You have this artistic touch. You want to go out and show everyone how artistic you are. You are great at your craft. But now you want to go out and be like what they call a tagger. You want to go out and put your information and put your artwork all on someone else's property. You think you want to spruce up the neighborhood by putting your stuff on the side of someone's grill or someone's bar, someone's restaurant, someone's apartment building. You don't want to do that because you could be in a position to where you are charged with a felony as criminal mischief, destruction of property, and a host of other crimes depending on where you are and what jurisdiction you're in. Just because it looks good, just because it's very good, it's unique, because you didn't have permission to do that. If you didn't have permission to do it directly from the owner of the property, then you're not permitted to do that. If you are caught doing that, now you're in trouble. They can simply look at the camera feed because, again, camera feeds are everywhere. Video feeds are everywhere. And of course, if you're going to write the picture, guess what you're going to do next? You're going to take a picture of the picture. Imagine that. You sign off on it because you want people to know this was your artwork, and that's not what you want. If you don't have permission to do it, please don't do it. Don't do things without permission. You could find yourself in hot water. So you thought it was just graffiti. Now it's
Okay, all right, you got audio back? All right, it is, I have 7:07, I'm reconvening the meeting from executive session on agenda item 13A. We got legal advice from our attorney and did not make any decisions. So at this point, I don't think we have any further board discussion on that particular item, but I will move us to item 21B, which is the Parks, Pool, Greenbelt Rule Enforcement Criminal Trespass Warning Policy. And so, Amanda, do you want to lay out a little bit of that, or Sean, who would like to take lead on layout for that particular, just to do a brief summary of what we're doing here, and we can talk about that.
Sure. Amanda, I think you might have been a little bit more involved in the promulgation of what we have here. If you want to just give a quick overview, and I'm happy to jump in. Or...
Yeah, so just a quick overview. Currently, we do not have a policy around CTWs, and the security subcommittee wants to be mindful of how they're being issued and when they're being issued. And so the suggestion was to come up with a policy. I think we agreed in discussion in executive that we're going to have all the board members redline so that we can take back feedback and make sure we're coming up with a solution that is beneficial to all of our residents.
Okay, and Sean, you anything to add on that? Or?
No, other than I do think it's prudent. I'm not sure we're going to be able to specifically contemplate everything that could possibly, shoehorn into the policy, but no, I do think it's a good idea to have the policy in place.
Any discussion from either Director Young, Director Johnson?
Only that I like the idea of predictability for the board members, for the residents, and for the sheriff's deputies. I think it'd be good.
Okay. And Director Young?
No comments.
Just briefly to the deputies, we obviously aren't going to make a decision on this tonight, but we understand the issue for y'all. Y'all need something predictable from us. From our end, just personally, I think we need to have something that, if y'all reach out to the security committee, they have a clear list of things to do, but at the same time, we know there may be gray areas, and having my personal argument something where if there is any gray, we have a process where the board gives some approval, so that way the public, the people involved can kind of say their piece and they slow things down for y'all, and we will keep you on the loop as we work on getting further board input on this policy, right? But we do appreciate what y'all are doing. It's tough, right? Because you get people doing things. You're trying to take care of our parks, enforce our park rules, right? Enforce the laws. So we're very aware on that. So we don't have anything tonight to decide on this, but just want to keep you posted. Yeah, members, we'll work with Lisa and Sean and Amanda to get something together. Folks have input on what we want to do, and then we'll bring this back up to the next board meeting.
Yeah, and I think we might like to talk to the officer that was on site.
Oh yes.
Right.
So for the Spumante event, when the report is finished, you might, one thing Director Young mentioned when we were talking, to me, it was that, perhaps we could have, like we had the report on the graffiti, right, just now, y'all were able to give, right? That we will have a similar discussion, but when we get to it on the Spumante, won't be
So it
good too.
doesn't work, blockhouse from what? How do you want us to call him in?
Oh, he's not one of y'all's.
Even the written report would be fine, I think.
If y'all want
Okay.
the written report, what I would do is come to the sheriff's office,
Okay.
do an open records request, and that's how you could get the form.
Okay. We'll work with y'all on getting that set up. That's good to know. I did not realize, I assumed he was one of our folks on contract. He was just a regular patrol deputy guy.
He was called. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's good to know. Okay. Did anybody else have any other further discussion on item 21B?
I do have
Okay, good, yeah,
a
this-
small suggestion that you guys may want to kick around when you guys do have your meeting. So a former agency that I worked for, it was a municipality, there were certain private parks, there were certain apartment communities where they worked with the police department and gave permission and granted the authority for an officer, if they felt fit, to issue a criminal trespass warning without having to contact anyone.
Mhm.
That being said, there were actual signage posted that clearly stated they gave this police department the authority to issue criminal trespass warnings. So that way there was no confusion in the apartment complex, in the actual park. So that may be something to consider talking about and actually having done up. So that way there's no one thinks that we're here to enforce, we're here to keep this community safe, right? But at the end of the day, we're supposed to uphold criminal laws. So we also want to make sure that there's a clear clear verbiage of what we can and cannot do and what we are expected to do. So that may be something to consider, having some type of signage put up in the parks that clearly states, hey, we as the board members are give Williamson County Sheriff deputies the authority to issue criminal trespass warnings. So that way there's no discrepancy.
That is one of our concerns generally, I think, or at least mine is, you know, not just speak for the whole board, one of my concerns with this policy and just general how we're doing is not on y'all, but that, you know, y'all don't have clarity on when you should issue necessarily. Residents do not have clarity about what will cause one to be issued, right? And I wanna preserve, I wanna protect you guys, I wanna give a residents due process, so that consideration is well taken, but I think, at least for my hope is that when we get further down the road on this, we can do something that gives people clarity, so we can
Yes.
make sure people are aware, so y'all know what y'all have to do or don't have to do, but also us on a board and, you know, because from our, we don't have a policy, right? We don't have a way of telling y'all this, yes, that, no, right? So, that is a well taken suggestion.
Thank you very much.
Alright, thank you. Okay, so we are moving on from that. The last on the criminal trespass front is item 13H. Action regarding graffiti criminal trespass warning and review proposals for graffiti remediation underneath the Jumano Bridge and the Port Daniel picnic table. Amanda, do you wanna, or do you wanna have the deputy talk about?
Do you wanna go ahead and talk about?
So, I don't know when it was, but I got called out there. I observed the, under the bridge, and I was shown photos of the picnic table. We sent a report up to our detectives, and that they were gonna be the main ones that are gonna be working it. There was, names that were mentioned, like possible suspects, but no date of birth, no approximate age, but I need like precise, it was this person before we can, file warrants and charges of people. So that's why it was forwarded to CID.
This did take place on the 13th of February.
Yes.
Did you have anything to add from the security subcommittee on this one, or?
Just that we're working closely with the detective to make sure he has all the information that he needs. We have an email string going back and forth with requests and updates with
Okay.
him.
Okay, all right. Is there anything else, Director Young, Director Johnson, any questions on that? I don't have any questions.
We're only talking about H, not the proposals?
Yeah, just we moved on from proposals, we're gonna leave those pending,
Okay.
and get further input.
That works.
I guess to be perfectly clear, you're gonna leave 22B pending,
I meant
further input,
The proposals
Graffiti.
for the graffiti.
did you?
So my understanding is the deputies needed proposals to understand.
Before we can file charges on somebody,
Sorry about that.
so like there's an estimated, I talked to people, estimated value was $10,000 in damages. Before,
That's more than that.
it's more than that, so
Oh, yeah.
before I can file charges on somebody, I need some type of paper form that shows like, hey, it's gonna cost this much, it's itemized, it's gonna say like this much for removal fees and everything, and that is the form that we're gonna bring to the courts and say, this is what the price is, do you accept the charges, and that's when the judge will sign yes or no on the warrant.
And those proposals have been provided to you. Well, we do have one from SI Environmental, and that's for a little bit more than 40,000, and we have another one from Crossroads Utility Service covering a little more than 22,000.
Okay,
So
do you
that-
board directly provide that to deputies?
No, it's already been submitted to the detective.
Okay.
So I've been under Mono Bridge, recently, and there's been graffiti there. Every time I go, I just kind of assume it would be, it's under a bridge. Are we certain that we're delineating previous existing one, or did somebody maybe spray paint a little bit and they're being expected to, you know, fix the whole thing?
So my understanding is the individuals involved with the picnic table did the outside of the bridge, and then there is a text string going back and forth between these kids where they are taking ownership for all their art.
And the
underneath.
taggings match.
And they match.
Okay, so there's taggings,
They have
but then,
specific taggings.
and that's not being included in the estimate for remediation or cleaning it up?
It's all been included.
It's all included.
So we're including the stuff that, but I guess you're asking is, we're not including stuff that they did not tag, if there's anything they did not tag.
Right, stuff that's been there before.
But the things that have been there before can be brought back to them because of the way that they tag. So it's
There's
mimicking
identifiable-
their mark.
They're claiming it through their tag, is what you're
Yes, there's
saying?
an identifiable mark connected to the same new art stuff they put on the outside of the bridge.
Can I ask Director Young's question in another way? So this 46, like this one that's 46, 150, that's for getting rid of all the graffiti on the
That's
bridge.
correct.
And those kids did all of the graffiti under the
That-
bridge.
That's the understanding.
That's the
yes.
position, okay.
And not just the bridge, there was also a picnic.
The big, right, I
Yes.
just meant everything is
Every-
included here,
everything,
and
yeah.
we're saying that they did everything, okay.
Yes.
I just wanted, that was your question, right? Essentially.
We're not charging for stuff they didn't
That
do.
they didn't do, right, we're
Okay.
making sure that they are, if there was a portion that they didn't do, they were not being,
Is that correct, Rick, Rion? That's kind of what you're trying to get at?
Yeah, I just, there's already been graffiti under there, I don't want them to be charged with cleaning up all the graffiti. Now, if they graffitied over the graffiti, then yeah, but if there was parts that, you know, Tonkawa, right, are we gonna have them clean that up too, even though they may have never been there, maybe they did. Now, if it's been tagged over, then yeah, let's,
and if I can
That-
speak to that, in previous, when we had Parks here, whenever he was able to, find graffiti, we actually did create reports. So there are reports with those pictures that the detective can go back to, and so that graffiti has really been, it's been logged, if you will, so they can go back and associate one to the other.
okay.
And I
Yeah.
presume that when the deputies are doing their work with the detective, right, that's part of the detective's case for the court, right, is saying that here's the evidence I have to tell the judge that this
So-
graffiti information we provide is actually theirs.
Yeah, so
So
when
there's
I was
gonna be a
on-
criminal process resulting in this. as
When I
well.
was on the scene, I took updated photos, so those updated photos will go to the, let's say the other reports that were, who knows how long ago, and then we'll match to see what was new, what's not new.
Gotcha.
So, we don't have access to those photos.
You can do open records requests.
Oh, okay,
I
but
do
not in
not
the
know,
packet.
I don't know what you'll get when you do it, I've never done open records request myself, but they will give you some type of.
Well, it's an active ongoing investigation still, right?
It is still an ongoing investigation, so
Okay.
it might be
You will-
limited.
Probably get something redacted at this point.
It would be limited for the most current one that you guys have, but anything that was linked, so when you're talking about they were linking the actual tags, so most taggers have a signature. So if there's been reports, generated 5 years back, and they start linking that same signature to what is currently there, when you do the open records, because those are linked, you will get a redacted version of those older ones, linking everything together. But as far as the newest one, because it is open, you're gonna be very limited in what you can get. And that's for purposes.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
the
that is-
graffiti is still there right now?
Yes, yes. It's on the side of the bridge and then the what?
Entirely underneath this.
Yeah, entirely underneath, and then it's also on the pad that the Boy Scouts put in, the concrete pad, and the picnic table, by Port Daniel.
In the center of the loop. I know.
Yeah, in the wooded area, yeah.
Okay. Are there any further questions or anything else we need to add? Okay, then we will leave this item pending under 13H. We will get back, way back to the beginning there, at the beginning is Jim, you can have him update?
Jim
Good to go?
Jim has
Where's Jim?
gone and mentioned that he doesn't have anything to add currently. They're moving swiftly out there at NFL.
I did talk to him briefly before the meeting, he mentioned Shields is likely ahead of schedule. So, and then he mentioned that they're on schedule for the work on, new code, so I was talking to him about that, so. Okay, on to item 4, approving the minutes of the January 28th, 2026 board meeting. Oh, actually, yeah, if you guys, I think we're good on the questions for y'all, so if y'all are, unless you wanna hang out, you're welcome to, you're welcome to stay inside, but you're welcome to also go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, man, thank you for the reminder.
I move to
Sorry,
approve them.
alright, motion,
Second?
alright, all those in favor?
Aye.
Alright,
Alright, aye, 4-0, that motion carries. Alright, item 5, report from the Blockhouse Owners Association. Sandy, do you have anything to report?
I have nothing.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you, Sandy. Alright, we already got the report from the Sheriff's Office on item 6. Alright, item 7, report and directives to Premier Recreation Management Services, LLC.
Do you have Mark on the line?
Is Mark on?
Yes, I am here. I'm sorry, I'm in the car here. Can y'all hear me? I can barely hear you guys.
We can hear you just fine.
We can hear you just fine,
Perfect.
Mark.
All right. So yeah, the reports in the packet, we're preparing for summer. Everything's going pretty well. It's been a challenge to get some proposals for you guys, but we do have we have it in the works and they're all continuing to work on them. last month you saw a slide proposal. I am still waiting on Splashtacular to give us a second proposal on that. So it's not in the packet for this month, but it should be there next month. We do have a couple proposals for leak detection. At this time, I am not seeing any signs of leaks at Apache Pool. So I don't know that we need to go that route. I wanted to make sure to include the proposals for you. But at Tomlinson, we are seeing a slow leak. We're refilling about every other week. So it may be, and by refilling, I'm talking an inch or two. It's not a significant leak. But we may want to consider getting that leak testing done.
Extending you.
Okay. Okay. All right, let me bring up, items 7A and B. A is the, proposal for leak testing at Apache Pool for $4,540.01. We'll start with A. I think based on Mark, I'll open for discussion, I would say just personally based on Mark's commentary that we don't need it at this moment.
Agreed.
I'd like to leave this pending. Any input from directors?
Agreed.
I agree.
Director Young?
Good with that.
Okay, then let's leave 7A pending, and we'll move on to 7B, which is a proposal for leak testing at Tomlinson in the amount of $5,950.33. Yeah, losing an inch every week's not real good, so I mean, input from Director Stansfield, Director Johnson, Director Young, any input?
Let's do it.
Okay, all right, then I'll make a motion, give a motion to approve the motion.
I'll motion.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Yes.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so Mark, we got that approved for you 4-0. Lisa, if you could work with Mark to move forward on that. Excellent. Mark, do you have anything else?
No, that's really about it. Just we're about 80% staffed to 85% staffed for the summer. So we're in the process of hiring, and we'll be training next month at one of the other locations. And then we'll have some final training days in April and May at Tomlinson and be ready to go for the summer.
That sounds great, Mark. Thank you for your work on this.
Are we still doing a newsletter ad to point them to Premier Recreation? Is that still upcoming?
We haven't added anything currently, he hasn't
We could
mentioned
put-
it when he did.
You know, Mark, when you get to that point, when you're ready for that, can you please work with Lisa and we'll get something for the communications subcommittee to put a notice in the newsletter that this is an opportunity for folks in the right neighborhood to, that's a good catch. Cause yeah, we're gonna have to do that soon. So,
Just to advertise for lifeguards.
yeah, to advertise for lifeguards. Sorry, I got trailed off.
That
there.
sounds great. Thank you. Really appreciate that.
Yep. All right, thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Perfect.
All right, item 8, report and directives for priority landscape.
We have Clint on the line?
Clint, you there?
I'm here. Can y'all hear me?
We can.
Yes.
Awesome. We are finishing up our winter schedule this month, and we are getting ready to start next week on weekly service to the property. All the winter cutbacks have been done, and I did, as I'm looking over the report, I did neglect to put in there that we did complete the spring pre-emergent and fertilizer as well as the annual ant treatment this month. So I apologize for that.
Oh, sorry, Clint. Sorry. No, thank you for letting us know on that. Any questions for Clint?
No. That's good.
All right, Clint, thank you for being with us tonight, and thank you for the report.
Thank you.
All right, item 9, report from the directives to municipal accounts and consulting.
Tyler on the line?
Tyler, you on the line for Mac today?
Yes, I'm here. All right, I'll get started with bills and invoices. We have checks for approval 104.25 through 104.52. This does include a few extra checks that I had in the supplemental packet. We also had a couple checks out of the capital projects fund account, one of those being the pay app that Crystal and David will be going over in a few agenda items. For transfers, we have your regular monthly transfers, just your tax transfer and your transfer over to your manager's account in order to process bill payments. For investments, we have the same 3 CDs that we've had for the past year or so. Money market rates are currently at 3.79%. And for tax collections, as of January 31st, we are 91.96% collected. We received a large portion of that in January. We're anticipating, February, March to get up to that 98% that we're really aiming for.
Yeah, just keep us posted on how we do on our collections. Thank you for going through that. That's good information. And then, okay, so on item 9A, payment of bills and invoices. Do I have a motion?
Motion?
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. That carries. Thank you, Tyler. Item 10, report from the Finance Audit Subcommittee.
The memo's in the packet.
All right. Does anybody from the subcommittee have anything to add?
I don't think so.
Okay, moving on. Item 11, report from a directives to Crossroads Utility.
We have Ben on the line.
Excellent. Good to hear you, Ben.
How's it going, everybody? I'll be brief. My report is in the packet. Really nothing to talk about today. Our water loss is trending down from 14% to 11%. We have 2 write-offs tonight for approval. The 2 are totaling in $100. I just need approval and action on those 2.
Okay. All right, we have a motion to approve the write-offs.
Motion.
Second?
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, that carries. And like I said, we're done with AT&T Fiber, right?
Yes, as of January 2026, we are currently done with fiber in the neighborhood.
Sounds great. We'll make sure to strike that from the next agenda. All right. Okay, Ben. Well, thank you for the update.
We
And
do have one item for Ben.
do we have? I was actually asked you to send a line for the
Yeah, Ben,
contract.
if you could just briefly give a little bit of directive in regards to your direction in regards to some billing issues that some residents have made comment about.
Yes, so we had received a few calls this week just about a misread, just to give you guys a little refresher. You guys have manual meters in the neighborhood, so we have a meter department that goes out once a month and they manually read the meters. On the last time we read, I guess we had a few numbers that looked, like a 3 looked like an 8, a 7 looked like a 1. These were addressed to our customer service line. So like when a customer thinks that their bill is read wrong, they can call our customer service line and we create a service order ticket. Our operator goes back out there to reread the meter. They find out that the meter was read incorrectly, goes back to our billing team and we correct the issue and then we make the adjustment on the customer's account.
Okay, so that process moving forward.
Yes.
Okay.
That has been the standard process. We just want to reiterate to residents that it does help Crossroads if residents can reach out to Crossroads directly so that Ben can make that ticket and also keep that, underneath his radar and make sure that there's not anything else that's being missed. But he's best to be able to help you all if he's able to know that tickets are being created. So.
Sure.
No, I think bottom line up front is if you're a resident, you see an issue with your bill, call Crossroads because they won't know if you don't tell them.
Exactly.
So I've had a misread, Ben, if you don't, I've had a misread on my meter, and I know that the meter readings go into the sewage charges over the year. I'm still showing a crazy one on my bill, October 2024. Will that incorrect information, the misread, I know the bill is fine on it, but will that misread go into the averaging that goes into the sewage charges at the end of the year?
Is that from 2024?
No, not from October of 2024. That wouldn't be part of the winter averaging window.
But let's say it was a winter month then, which this is. Will those people that got overcharged and then refunded, will that number go into the averaging?
No.
This is February.
No, because we caught it early.
Change the bill, right? Y'all change the amount their credit is using, right? It's not just a credit to the account, right? Y'all change the record of what the water usage was, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
It would not affect the winter sewer averaging.
There was a crazy reading and it still hasn't fixed on there, but the bill's fine, so I'm fine. I'm concerned about them using that number for averaging, even though October's not, we have February misbilling, and I'm concerned that residents are gonna be getting overbilled
But it sounds like they,
For the averaging.
For what he's saying.
So, because, and typically averaging is done on a district-wide basis, not on an account basis.
Well, it is by an account, I'm
It
sorry,
is,
it is,
okay, all
it
right.
is by account basis,
Okay, not
but
every-
they do go into an audit, and that information actually gets to Ben, and he actually goes through that information and sees where there's a discrepancy in that, and he will send that back to billing and let them know, and if it's not corrected actually in your account specifically, your winter averaging was definitely looked at, so that's an auditing process that Crossroads does have, so Ben definitely is still making sure that residents are not being
Well,
overcharged.
and then we may wanna look at what displays on the customer dashboards to make sure that's being corrected there too. I don't know, again, how y'all systems work to pull that data, but this may bear an update at the next meeting to talk a bit about how y'all do that, if that's all right. Like the audit
Yes.
process and how y'all adjust things to further discussion.
And Ben, if you need to look at my account, reach out to my email address and I'll get you there so you can see what's going on. And again, I'm not suspecting that it happened to me on October 2024. I'm concerned about it happening February 2026
Yeah.
when this happened.
Yes.
Well, I think we
And-
need to make sure everybody's aware of how this process works.
Yes, absolutely. And then I can also, I spoke with Lisa earlier. I can put it in the bill message also, just a friendly reminder. Like you can always call our front desk just so residents have a refresher in their bill message.
I think that'd be good.
Yeah, I think that'd be very good, yeah, cause like I said, I guess you may wanna mention that then, like, again, like, people are, even if their payment is correct, if they see other discrepancies in the bill, to let you guys know.
Yes.
Cause again, if, you know, y'all's data may look different from the dashboard, you make sure that it gets ironed out, so.
We did post that on social media,
But-
and we also did put that in the March newsletter that's coming out, just to
Yeah.
give everybody a refresher.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ben, do you have anything else?
That's it, unless anybody has any more questions for me.
I don't.
I do not. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ben.
Thanks, Ben. And then moving on to item 12, report from directives to Gray Engineering.
All right, good evening.
Good evening.
All right, so let's see. Over the last month, been a very busy month. We worked with Ben on one question that came up on a sidewalk. We'll continue to work together on that. Otherwise, we were working with Sean on the easement vacation. And yeah, more to come on that unless Sean has any additional information he wants to provide this evening. And main thing this month has been Tumlinson. We've made some great progress on it. We were able to get the punch list site visit completed, and that occurred on February 13th. We created a master punch list and all parties met on site. The goal was to come up with, master list of all the items that were left to be completed. TF Harper has that and everything underway. Let's see, the next step will be for them to produce a final schedule, which we're awaiting to get from them. They've got a few outstanding items, but hopefully we'll be seeing that very soon. We also had the certified playground safety inspector go out, and they provided their drafted inspection report. Everything looked really good on it, but we'll be awaiting their completed report. They need a couple additional pieces of information. Otherwise, we have all the equipment in place, and yeah, we're moving along really well. We really are. So the next thing on is to, let's see, the pay estimate number 8. We've received that from TF Harper, RVI, Trent's office, and I reviewed it. We did have some comments on it and sent it back to TF Harper. They made revisions. And so for this evening, we wanted to present, pay estimate number 8 in the amount of $299,869.88 for review and approval.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so Amanda from the Park Committee, do y'all have any comments on any of this?
No, we do wanna just add a quick
Yeah, absolutely.
explanation of punch list. We've had a lot of residents asking, the park does look finished. It looks like it's ready to take ownership of now, but there's minor little things that we're going through and just making sure are 100% accurate. That leads to our overall warranty. And so those things do need to be addressed to make sure that we are in line for that warranty. So it's not just sitting, it's being done and being worked on. It's just, this is the part where it's kind of like when, you're going back and reviewing a paper and you're really that fine tooth comb, making sure you got it all right, so.
Yeah, no, thank you for bringing that up. Sorry, I didn't mention it.
What's
Yeah.
our current best guess on the opening date?
We do not have a
Yeah.
timeline
We don't
yet.
have a timeline
They're
yet.
working on that. We
Yeah.
hope to get it today, but they weren't able to.
Can we get just a guess, not definite,
We're-
just
Yeah, we're expecting some additional items to come in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So once we get those items in, we'll be able to get the revised schedule and should be able to have a discussion on the grand opening. But like Amanda said, I mean, we had a lot of folks stop by today asking, hey, when's it gonna be open? It looks ready. But we have a couple of outstanding items. We will make sure everything's perfect, especially with the inspection report that came out. We're addressing all the items that were in that, any safety concerns. So it's really close. Yeah.
And we're looking at a few weeks.
We're looking at a few weeks, yes.
And Robert, if it's illustrative, correct me if I'm wrong, but
Mhm.
the only payout that would be left would be Lisa retainage. So we're down to the last payout after. the-
Correct, yep.
Subcommittee
And the
said-
subcommittee approves this payout.
Correct, yes.
Yep, that's fantastic.
Yep.
All right, do I have a motion to approve item 12B, the Tomlinson Park Playscape pay estimate number 8 for TF Harper in the amount of $299,869.88?
I motion.
Second?
Second?
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right,
Excellent,
Thank
thank
you.
you, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
okay, item 13, report from amenities subcommittee, we've already covered item 13A1. So that moves us down to 13B, which is a proposal for Tonka Park safety surfacing. We have $7,975.
So B and C are actually going to be the same. I actually did pull 2 proposals in order for us to be able to get the best dollar, if you will. Just wanted to bring in a little bit of option. I do recommend that we go with SI Environmental. Prior Landscape is great. It's just a matter of trying to manage the budget, make sure that we're watching the funds so that way we can go into Apache and make sure that if Apache needs anything done, we've got dollars there for that as well. So I do recommend for us to go with item B today.
And this is the spongy kind of surface that's under the playground at Tonka?
Yes, it's actually not spongy. It's like, it's a faux wood, if you will, but it does help with the fall.
Oh, that, okay.
Yes, yes.
I got you.
We don't
Okay. I
have
was thinking-
spongy there, but.
Yeah,
Well,
Well, I was thinking-
the proposal
yeah.
from priority was to do.
They're
Similar,
both,
okay.
they're both
Mulch,
the same.
that was mulch, okay.
Okay.
So this is playground mulch.
Playground
specifically,
mulch.
This is for Tom.
Yes,
Okay.
this is approved playground mulch.
So you're recommending SI environment? Okay.
Okay.
And this is to remedy a safety inspection.
That is correct.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for
So I was
that.
gonna ask, like, I'm assuming there's a safety issue.
Then
This is the fall cushion, so.
I motion to go with the general manager's recommendation for SI environmental for 13.
Okay, do we have a second on item 13B?
Second?
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we will leave C pending since we're not adopting that one. That moves us on to 13D, where I show that we've got 3 sub-items. We have resurfacing of sport courts and review of related proposals, 2 from SI Environmental, 1 from Hellas Construction. Lisa, do you mind walking us through this?
I'm happy to. We did receive some information from some residents that have utilized the sports courts often and brought this to our attention that it was actually in need of some remediation. The sports courts were resurfaced back in 2022. A fiberglass overlay was added to the asphalt that's been there forever, since the beginning. And so it did do its job for the time that it was allotted for, which is, a good couple, 2 to 3 years. It is now to a point where I've reached out to SI Environmental, another play company, as well as Hellas Construction, Sunports and Hellas Construction. I did ask them to come in and give us an overview of what their recommendations were. All 3 companies actually recommended that we go in and remove all of the asphalt and go back to bare bones and then build it back up. Sunports actually did provide a sample of what they would be remediating to. And I did bring this information to the amenities subcommittee. They did ask me to come in and get these estimates for you, just to give you an idea of what this cost would look like. We do recommend that the board consider taking this onto possible part 1 information, and I'll let Director Stanfield talk about that portion.
So, in the review of checking the sports courts, it's not just a desire to fix, but it's almost a safety issue. As we walked through, there's several areas that are uneven, and when you're playing pickleball or tennis, you're running. If you hit your foot on a lip or anything like that, it's gonna potentially cause some accidents. Our stance on it was, let's not keep putting Band-Aids on it, and let's pause and try to actually fix it, since we've already done a Band-Aid a few years ago. Where the minor hiccup is it would cause us to have to readdress our bond funds and look at readdressing where that's gonna go, because it's not in the budget. And so that's one of the discussions that we wanted to have tonight, to make sure that we understand that it's a safety issue, it needs to be fixed. We wanna do the Tonkawa bathrooms and the other aspects of it that's currently laid out in the bond, but we also wanna make sure that what we currently have is safe for our residents to use.
Sean, do you have any input on that? But both from actually, give us your legal input on moving this into bond funding along with any other legal comments you might have.
I will make a comment that David Gray is aware of this, so.
Yeah, I visited, so to be sure, this was not included within the proposed projects that were voted on by the voters, right? So there's kind of contract with voter issues there. We would probably, at bare minimum, need to go to TCEQ just to refresh everyone's memory. The Playscape also was not included. We actually went through the AG's office to get specific approval to issue bond, to utilize bond funds for that. So there would be some administrative administrative considerations here and flowing through at least one state agency to get approval to utilize the funds here, as opposed to the uses that were already approved by the voters.
Gotcha. And I guess one other question on these, because these all are well over $100,000, what would our process be for putting these out to bid?
They need to be competitively bid.
But we need to post that. Can you walk us through that real quick?
Yeah, sure. So that would be David Gray's group, putting together a competitive bid package, multiple publications usually, sealed bids submitted, in the same way that we did for the Playscape.
Okay.
And so you're exactly right. There's pockets, right? Anything below 25K, anticipated cost 25K, you can just get one proposal and do it. Between 25K and 150 bucket, you can solicit 3 proposals, but once you get north of 150, sometimes arguments can be made for maintenance projects that you don't necessarily need to competitively bid those. I genuinely like to, but if you're north of 150, basically you have to competitively bid it, and clearly we're weighing it up, because I think you want to bid all this together, right?
Yes, and this was strictly informational, and I did go that distance,
Yeah,
pulling
just wanna walk
3
through
bids,
this
but I really wanted you all to see the overview of it.
No, this is good. I think you did a good job putting all this together. Actually, I just want to walk everybody, because we got this on the record, right, that how this is likely gonna work, because I do think, there's a separate budget discussion that probably needs to be had at a future meeting about how we would pay for this, right?
Right.
But I do have concerns about trying to run it back through TCEQ, right? But the parley's, well, there may be some delays, right? Like it's time,
And to be sure, David and I visited briefly, but we can probably have a more coordinated, on point, overview of that at the next meeting, if that works.
Lisa,
That'd be helpful.
do you have a shot from the hip guess at what the last Band-Aid cost?
I actually can tell you here in
Okay.
just a moment.
The reason I'm curious is because while I'd rather fix it correctly, it sounds like even the cheapest correct fix here is something that would take months of work. So if it's if you'll forgive the expression, lowercase s safety concern or a capital S safety concern, I mean, it might be, if it's a safety concern, perhaps it's prudent to do something
Right.
and then do it right later, because closing the courts would not be good. Right,
No, but-
so I guess at what level of safety concern are we talking about here?
Right, and it is something that has been brought to our attention from the people that actually use the courts.
Right.
And so it was something that they definitely wanted the board to, and it's discussed, they understand, again, it's a process.
Right, so
But
perhaps we need to do both.
Yeah, I would think, and tell me if y'all think I'm wrong, but I think maybe direction for Sean and Lisa and David for the next board meeting would be to bring us back a completely fleshed out package we could then tell David to potentially put out for bid, right?
Yeah.
That require approval from us, with then perhaps a secondary option of, if we can, I'm not trying to circumvent the statutes on bidding, but both for budget reasons and speed reasons.
Yeah.
If we can work up anything that may perhaps do a short-term Band-Aid again, depending upon the safety concerns.
Right.
If that proposal, I hate to wait another month, but just something that we can look at as like, here's the option to keep anybody from getting hurt in the immediate sense,
Right.
and then here's what we have to go through to get it redone properly. Like, I can see both sides of that.
Yeah.
But maybe as an objection, I think maybe that's a director we could issue.
Yep, and I think, you know, as Lisa looks it up, we can come back to it real quick. If it's a few $1,000s, maybe we could just approve the temporary fix.
It's not just a few.
It's a lot.
Okay.
It was more than 20+ thousand originally.
And Lisa, just to confirm, we're apples to apples here. The SI proposals put together is the same thing as the Hallis proposal?
Each one of them is actually different. So we have one that is, 2-color scheme, I believe, and the other is, yes,
Okay.
yeah.
But it appears SI was a lot lower.
They're a lot lower. And in that SI, actually, Sunports is part of that. So for each court, it was roughly about, 12,000, so we spent a little bit more than 48,000 in total for all 3 of them.
That was,
For the Band-Aid?
For the Band-Aid, that didn't work. And so.
did it not work or it didn't work very long?
Didn't work very long, but I'll tell you that from the beginning of after the Band-Aid, there were still a lot of complaints, and we carried those complaints, and Hellas did a great job as far as managing that warranty up to that point, and we exhausted that warranty.
Okay.
So
And
that's,
just to be clear, I'm not suggesting a Band-Aid solution. I just, if there's a safety concern immediately and we don't have an immediate process to do it right, maybe we need to do something in the short term. So,
Well, yeah, cause I was looking like on top of the bid process, right, I was noting some of these, you know, bids, you know, it's not something they go out, it looks,
we still have to pay for it once we bid it.
well, there's pain, but also like some of these like are just simply not, they roll out there in a week and put this stuff out.
Right, right.
Like, it's very clear there's atmospheric and weather conditions that have to be met and timelines, so that, I hear what you're saying.
It's not a
because
fast process.
Even if we could approve this today, it might take them a month or 2 to get this all squared away, you know?
So y'all are good on direction? Right.
Okay, alright, so we're gonna leave everything in item D pending. Alright, moving us on to 13E, which is the Twin Electric Company proposal for emergency call box to the community garden for an amount of $11,875.
right, so the community garden reached out to me as well as the amenities subcommittee and discussed, given that, the area is a little bit desolate, we thought that just like the pools, a 911 call box would be beneficial for a lot of reasons, not just because we have, you know, wildlife, but also because it, does isolate a person whenever they are, you know, out there maintaining the garden beds. And so this was an item that we wanted to bring to the table for that reason.
Okay, any questions from the board?
Are we bringing this up for full discussion?
Yeah, we're gonna make a motion to discuss, and yeah,
I'll motion for discussion.
alright,
Second.
alright.
I'm not sure why 911 on somebody's phone, I mean, everybody has phones now. And things can be spotty. I understand out in Mono, but in that area, it's been good. I think maybe just turning on a Wi-Fi hotspot would be a lot less expensive where they can call. I'm just not sure that, if it's isolated, it's because there's very few people there. You know, if somebody's concerned, bring somebody with you. I just don't see a good reason for a single person to be out there in the isolation and not having a working phone. $12,000 seems like a lot for an emergency phone that probably would only be used, you know, I mean, maybe, like, if somebody's coming at me, if I can phone, I probably need to be running from them and phoning at the same time or something like that. They can lock the gate behind them if they're concerned and have their privacy, and if, you know, I just don't see something where a phone's not gonna work, or I'm afraid I need to get out of here. There has to be just one person there, which is a bad decision if you're concerned.
I guess I should mention,
Well-
that's a great point. This call box is actually, like I said, one of the call boxes like at the pool, where it's not actually dialing, it's a pull lever. And I hear what you're saying, I'm not, just wanted to make sure that I stated that, so that you had a little bit of better understanding.
Thank you.
So I think,
Director Johnson Stansfield.
so I think part of the reason that the amenities considered this is it's not just gardeners that we have out there. We do have Boy Scouts that are out there. And I mean, God forbid anything ever happens to the leaders and those kids don't have phones, we do need a way for them to somehow be able to communicate an emergency. And I realize the Boy Scouts, and they probably have some of that level of training, but also anytime there's an area where there's don't love not having some source.
I just can't envision a situation where, if it was more remote and we were sending one person out there from time to time, then yes. But there are people coming and going, and if there's Boy Scouts, there's houses that they can run to and, knock on the door or whatever. They got cars, there's adults with cars. Boy Scouts have cars now too, and they could go. And I just can't envision something where a phone is not going to work. They need something right then to get some 911.
Director Johnson, did you have any?
No, I'm still considering.
I guess, because I guess, I kind of understand what you're saying, but at the same time, like, all your comments hold probably even more true at the pools, right? That no one is gonna be in the pool likely ever single, even the staff, right? Anybody who's got a minor is gonna be there, there's adults, lifeguards, right? So I mean, I guess it bears the question if we have it at the pools, right?
Has those ever been used?
Well, I don't know, but I guess if we're having the question, I mean, I think those 911 call boxes are probably not used, period, not just because of the cell phones, just because thankfully, for the most part, people do not have emergency, on a lifetime basis, right? But I guess, so, I mean, it kind of calls, if we don't have it here, what's the point of having it at the pools, right?
Well, let me ask on that real quick. It may be an insurance discount for us if we have that box at the pool. I'm not really sure why we have it there. Are we paying routine maintenance?
Well, it may be required by the state, I guess, if you're going with the insurance thing, we also might want to also look into, because we do have people using the building in Jumana, right, we do have people back there. I don't know if it would affect our TML policy, only if people back there doing, but it may bear having some digging in to see if that will change how it may not, but it might. But so I guess, there might be some little more digging to be done to flesh this out, but I definitely, I understand their concern, right? I guess the question I was gonna ask is, where exactly is this in the budget? Are we gonna be able to pull this from reserves, or is there still a little extra money left over in, some of the funding in that part of the budget, or?
We have it in the security line item, in the general budget.
Okay, so this would just so we already have that, okay.
I'd be interested to hear about TML
Mm-hmm.
and just see if there's any positive impact there. Because that would offset the cost. Because this is more or less a one-time cost, right?
Are we able to gather data on if Apaches has ever been used?
I'm sure, it's always a question to ask, I hope they've
We should
never
be able to
been
get
used,
the
but I think Mark would be able to at least guide us and tell us if it's maybe even a requirement that they.
I think it is a requirement
I
that it
think
has to be
so.
there because of the water.
Yeah,
I'm less concerned about that personally, only because you don't necessarily buy emergency equipment
Just
only because it's used. You buy it in the rare instance, but I am interested to see what the TML is, so if we could look that up.
Do we routinely maintenance test the ones that we have at the pool?
yes, and they're actually going through an upgrade right now. The
Okay.
copper lines are being changed out, but it's a little bit of a cost savings as far as dollar is concerned, but yes, they are checked.
Yeah, I know enough to know from other places that get state buildings, they have in the garage, they're just like fire alarms, any other kind of equipment you gotta check.
Okay, so we will be checking this won't be a one-time item, so how much does it cost to get those tested on an annual basis or whatever, but basically, I think, can we postpone it and maybe get some of these questions answered before?
Don't we have fire alarms in Jumana, right, and they get
We have fire
inspected
alarms.
from I guess you could ask, I would assume that the people that do that work
Safety First comes in and they do
are
it
the
once a
same
year
folks that do it, and it
for
should be.
extinguishers, so.
You know, can we get confirmation, because I would assume that it's the same people doing the same work, checking our firearm and say, because like, I'll say from personal experience, when they're doing that work on the garages down at the state, downtown, it's the fire alarm safety folks checking all the safety systems.
So if there's a fire alarm on the
Fire-
inside only, maybe we need to put one on the outside and that would work?
I think it's just a fire extinguisher, not fire alarm.
I've never seen an
No,
alarm.
there's
There's not,
an
okay.
alarm.
There is an
It's
extinguisher
Okay.
there.
just extinguishers that they look for, so.
Okay.
Yeah, and as far as the call boxes are concerned, we pay those through AT&T. So
Okay,
the only one that checks them would be just AT&T, but there's not
okay, so gotcha.
a yearly type of thing that needs to, you know,
Mhm.
be managed.
It wouldn't be its own separate line that we would have to pay monthly?
It is a
annual?
separate line that we do pay monthly, yes.
Okay, so if we can get those costs added in there, like, so we know what we're adding to the annual budget.
Yes, but this one would actually be a little bit different because it would use the data line system that's there out at Germano right now.
Mhm.
So it's a cost savings, whatever's already out there, pulling off of AT&T would actually give them the pinpoint location.
So then
It's a one-time cost.
so then I guess along with Director Young's comments, I guess I would move to table it, to amend the motion to table it, pending, there's no maintenance costs?
Yes, I believe there's no maintenance cost, but I
Okay.
can confirm that, bring that back.
Just checking that, and then also if there's any TML savings, so we can table it until the next meeting.
Yeah, we can leave that pending if the Director Stansfield wants you to.
That's fine.
We can pin that, we can get further information, 'cause I think there's some good use here, we just gotta kinda get all the ducks in a row. Okay, so we'll pin to item E, that moves us to 13F, which is Twin Electric Company proposal for a mini split and exhaust fan installation at the Tomlinson Pool Pump House in the amount of $10,750.
Yes, so last year, Mark actually brought this to our attention. This was included in the full budget. He mentioned that the pump house specifically gets overheated. And with this mini split being added, it actually does come with a heat system as well, so it would be an additional to help during the winter time. There is an exhaust cutout, but the exhaust fan that's there currently doesn't work. And so, he's needing that to also help circumvent the area as well.
So Mark recommends this as well.
Absolutely.
I'm a motion to approve.
Second?
Alright, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Alright, gives us a 13G, Twin Electric Company proposal for an additional security camera at Tomlinson Park, in the amount of $9,750.
So we've had several cameras installed to be able to keep up with the new Tomlinson Playscape. We have one area that was found after the installation of the additional cameras that is a blind spot, and highly recommended that we go ahead and add one more camera to give us an overview of a spot that's just not able to be seen. And so that total, again, is $9,750. This would do all of the electrical for lighting as well as the data line trenching and all of that.
And if memory serves, I think I visited with bond council on this, we were able to use bond funds to.
That is correct.
Okay.
The district will pay for it and the bonds will pay for
You
it.
anticipated my question, Sean. My first question was, can we use bond fund? The second question is, I'm assuming most of this cost is the trenching and
It is,
40 yards of
yeah,
trenching. Okay.
yeah. It's-
So this is going to be a part of the security cam system, there's not, we're already paying the overhead, the annual, the monthly overhead
Yes.
on that. In an effort to avoid getting tagged graffiti all over it, because it's going to be, anything that's new is gonna be a target, are we having signs, like, let people know that there are cameras, you're being watched, those are the ones that I think.
Is that coming up?
It has not come up.
But let's point it out, just let's avoid the graffiti, until, and then the cleaning and the graffiti and the cleaning and, throwing people in jail.
We are working on a new sign because there are some items that need to be added to the current one. So that could be an addition that we could go ahead and just add to it.
Camera surveillance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's- I mean,
Maybe
it's
it's
just
up to
an
the park
additional
committee to
line item.
discuss
We
with
can do that.
Sean.
Yeah, I would wanna know I'm assuming that would be covered legally if we put all that up, that it was, like, is there specific language, I guess we would need to know from you on what we would have to say with that?
Like to notify people the cameras are there.
Yeah,
I'm not sure, but yeah, they're probably worth looking into.
But I also think if we need to do additional signage, it could be covered in bond funds as well.
I don't, probably, maybe, I'm not
That was the thing, we gotta try to lump it all in there, so,
But we do have, budgeted for signage
Okay.
in general.
okay.
Let's add it to that.
Alright, so do I have a motion on this?
Motion to.
Second, alright, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. We already did 13H, moving on to 14, report from PR Subcommunications Committee. I don't think we really had anything particularly major to report. I haven't had a chance to look at the March newsletter draft, but that's on my agenda for tonight after the meeting, so.
Okay, we do have the March newsletter already completed, we're just waiting for a few statistical numbers from TDS, hopefully they'll be able to get us those.
Great.
We did add some additional flyers, clearly with graffiti and that type of thing. One item I wanted to bring to your attention, we did receive some comments on Facebook last month from a resident that had some handicap, and one of the things that they requested that they would like to see the board do, or the communications, is that whenever we're posting on social media, we provide caption as well as an alt text.
Okay.
And so that was immediately heard, and I immediately took some classes on that, and now everything that's posted on social media does have caption, does have alt text. And so we just wanted to let residents know that we are listening to them and we are taking care of that.
Yeah, we're able to add some accessibility at no cost.
Thank you for doing that, Max, I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa. All right, moving on to item 15, report directors from CAM and restrictive covenant subcommittee. So, the report's in the packet on that. There was really nothing in the subcommittee that you brought up at this point. And so that's all we really got there. All right, professional services, a report from TDS.
We should have Jamar on the line.
So I think we're gonna talk some about the,
Yes, I am here.
excellent,
Jamar.
Jamar.
Wow, Jamar, thank you for your patience, sir.
No, you're more than welcome. And also, Lisa, you probably haven't had a chance to check your email. I sent it rather late this evening, but I did get those stats to you for the newsletter.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Excellent, thank you, Jamar. All right, so you fire away with your report.
Well, okay. Honestly, I wasn't prepared to share the report. I thought I was here to discuss the mishap regarding the Waste Wizard
Report on the
app.
mishap. Sorry, I didn't mean like the actual report. The fact, like, you got a report for us on the mishap. Apologies for.
Okay. Well, here's the update, and let me give everyone who's not in the know a little backstory. We have an app called the Waste Wizard, and what this does in short is allows for residents to get notifications. Well, it kind of went haywire, and unfortunately, Blockhouse Mud was the canary in the coal mine, so to speak. You guys notified us of the issue. I shared it with our internal team. They thought they fixed it, and we later learned that we did not fix it. The residents were continually receiving a notification that they would get service on Saturday. If you guys recall, on February 7th, you had a curbside cleanup, and that continued to show. Well, the latest is that we're going to be getting new software. We're going to be getting a new process. There was an error in the data upload. And our automated piece was not working and still isn't working. We're working on that. We're doing it manually currently as we shop for a new software. So that's where we are with that now.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jamar. Any questions from the board? Johnson?
I do have one, but not on that. No doubt these are the numbers that Lisa's talking about, but can you give me the tonnage for the February 7th day? Do you happen to have it in front of you?
I
I do not, but I should be able to find it
Okay,
rather
Lisa has it in
quickly.
front of her.
Lisa, how much was it?
Total collected was 51.61 tons.
Is that not, that's more than last time, right?
It is.
51.61 tons.
I'm so glad that's been so widely used. I mean, the Germano pickup is still used as well, the drop off,
This is huge.
but this is great.
Yeah.
103,220 pounds 4.25 truckloads.
Yeah, so I think, you know, Bill Director Johnson's point, I think having both the Germano and these curbside has, I think, been a big boost to the community, really helping them with their heavy trash. So, Jamar, thank you for walking through that report on the app and the issues. I think it's hard, you know, that winter storm kind of messing everything up.
Yep.
What were you gonna say, Director Johnson?
That we had to pivot because of the storm, unfortunately, but it still worked out really well.
Yes.
So, thank you, Jamar.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Yes. Did you have anything else for us?
I don't, other than a little tooting of our own horn. In the month of January, in spite of the storm, we only had 2 misses.
Oh, nice.
Great job.
Wow, that's excellent.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Now, and to be fair, that's not counting. We had 5 misses during the curbside, but that's kind of outside of the scope. But just to be above board.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
So-
You'll do a lot with that curbside stuff too. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Jamar.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too. Bye.
All right, moving on to item 19, Stormwater Management Program under TPDES. This is, I believe, Sean, 19A, the key issues, Quiddy Engineering Annual Report.
Yep, I'm happy to review this one. And so this is a quirky year, the permit year. This has to do with when TCQ actually approved the current year. And so if they approve your new MS4 permit in the middle of a year, that's when your new year starts. So you'll note this is permit year 1, which we're calling 2026, and it's from September 23rd, 2025 to December 31st. So this is a short year, but unfortunately TCQ is a little bit behind. It seems consistently across all my districts. So this is just your standard MS4 review that we do on an annual basis that we have to submit over to TCQ. So this is the actual report. I think everybody has seen this at least once before. So this is just the very typical stuff that Quiddy's been doing for y'all for a long time now. I reviewed it, I didn't see anything atypical. And we'll be looking for approval tonight, but this covers all the typical stuff here. I'm happy to answer any specific questions that anyone does have.
Questions from the board for Sean?
Good.
All right, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second. All right. Excellent. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. That is approved. Item 20, report from Professional Services Subcommittee. Lisa, I don't think any reports in the packet. I will admit, I did not put the volunteer day planning during spring break on the agenda, so I will admit lack of familiarity with that item. So is there anything you might want to add on that? Or?
This is something actually that was kind of spanned between professional service as well as amenities subcommittee. It was just a shared thought and hope that we could probably put something together, maybe during the spring break timeframe, gather residents that want to sign off on a volunteer waiver, and then create for them some entry and exit points, hopefully utilizing some of priorities, entrance and exit points, to help us, like I said, kind of gather the materials that are found in the creek areas, but also helping them also have a place to dispose of all of that, which would be my recommendation of utilizing the either Germano trash that we have there, since it's more of a dumpster size, and basically the park dumpsters that trash cans that we have out right now. So.
Yeah, because that was actually we did discuss in professional services was, the 2 issues on any kind of creek cleanup would be where we can have them put the trash, right? We don't want people having to haul it home. But then the second question that came up was kind of leads more to amenities is like, how are we gonna let people have a place they can get this stuff out of the creek, right? Because there's not even nature, there's animal trails and places people cut through, but if somebody finds a tire or a pallet, right, we don't want them to be responsible for taking, having to hack their own path through the plants, right? So that was a question I raised in professional services, like what can we do to make sure that people know, hey, here's how you get out of the creek with that trash, right? Because it's not fair to them to be like, hey, we get the trash out of the creek, choose your own adventure to get out.
If I can mention, if we did schedule this somewhere around the spring break timeframe, we do have a Germano bulk drop in April, which will allow for us to kind of station some of the bigger items that are found in the creek, and allow us to utilize that bulk drop at that time or pickup at that time, so that we could dispose of additional items without having to incur costs.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So I think Director Young and recommended we try to do this at the same time as Curbside. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
We have to figure out how to get it from the creek
Exactly.
to Jumano,
Yeah,
but that is at least one problem
Yeah,
solved.
that's the thought, is that people aren't, we don't want people to haul this stuff at home, but we didn't get
Yeah,
that solved.
I think the logistics problem there is that we do pick up on, early on Saturday. And volunteers we're looking for, come join us from the weekends, so Saturday or Sunday. So, perhaps we do something where we stage it the weekend before, right where, we kind of cordon it off. And then those volunteers, we could ask them to follow up and bring it in there. Now, the dump trucks get there the night before they get dropped off. Is that something that our volunteers could then put it in there on a Friday night?
The last one actually came the morning of. But they, again, as you mentioned, we could actually have them staged inside the chain link fence area. At our last bulk drop in October, TDS was kind enough to actually utilize their manpower, went inside the chain link area and actually did some additional cleanup for us. So as long as we had a stage area that was close to the dumpster itself, I'm sure that they would be willing to assist us.
Okay.
We need to reach out to TDS, Lisa, I think you can chat with Jamar and see what we can do, get that squared away.
Yeah, so we either volunteer the week of the pickup, the weekend, the Saturday of the pickup, and get it all there, all within a few hours, or we stage it,
The week
weekend.
It's probably better the week before.
I
that
would
way we
think so
can-
as well, yeah.
Something, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that way if people wanna continue cleaning up that whole week,
Yeah.
that gives a lot of opportunity.
Which would move us from basically a March cleanup to an April 11th cleanup,
Okay.
just to kind of give you all.
Which put out a spring break, but
Right, put aside a spring break, but would give you probably more of a definite date
yeah,
of what
and
we'll be working
logistically
towards.
easier.
And you'd be able to cordon off a little area so people know this is where it goes.
Similar like what we did with the Christmas trees.
Yeah.
Well, and that would also, do we have, you can, I haven't looked at Mark's newsletter yet, do we have a blurb that we're working on that?
We have a to be determined date,
Okay.
just on the upcoming events. And then I think I do have a small blurb, I wrote so much in there.
Well, no, I think even that what you talked was good enough, and I think we could have the opportunity to, then we'll have the April newsletter, it's less, we can do a second push in the next newsletter, we got more
We can,
details.
yeah.
So that gives us two cracks at the apple on
Yeah.
this.
And you might reach out to our resident and let him write it, and if he's not able to have the time, then, maybe
Yeah.
use some of your time, but I love involving people that are passionate about things like this, and I suspect that he would write a good blurb. He's been very verbose in his emails to us, so I suspect that.
We have more room now to definitely get that input in, I
And
mean,
just-
now that
just
everything's
involving
on
members
the website.
of the
so.
community is good.
Great.
Yep, okay. All right, moving on to item 21, report and directives from general manager. We've already done 22B, 21B, so we got just 21A, park and recreational services provided by Crossroads pursuant to the amended and restated operational service agreement. So Lisa or Sean, I know this involves a contract, but I didn't know if you or Lisa wanted to do layout on
I'm
this.
happy to lay it out, and Lindy, you're happy to, or you're welcome to jump in, Lisa did that as well. So I chatted with members of the amenities subcommittee, and Lisa as well, about the work that is currently being performed by Crossroads in their kind of revised role as the park and rec manager. And just to refresh everyone's memory, at one point, for a long time, board members, we had, within the operations agreement, the park services were in there. Then we migrated them over to the GM's contract, and then I think it was at the beginning of the new fiscal year, Lisa, was that right? We went back and amended, and we basically took it back, made the staffing changes, and basically went back to what we used to do, which was essentially 20 hours a week, and having that services roll up in the operations agreement. And that kind of, from a housekeeping perspective, kind of went from Lisa back to Ben kind of overseeing that. So if you look at what we did was we included the, it's section 307, it's section 305, page 15 of this agreement, behind tab 21A it looks like here. And so this is just the overview of what Crossroads is doing. And just to refresh everyone's memory, it's 20 hours a week within the parks. And so there are, I think there have been some questions from the amenities subcommittee about certain forms of maintenance, whether or not they're being undertaken. To be sure here, under park and recreational services, it's a pretty wide umbrella of what they're doing, and it's all described pretty generally. And I think there was some specific concerns about the 3-mile looping, you know, kind of seeing trash and stuff like out there. And I think there was some question about, you know, is this enough services? You know, do we need to give specific direction to Crossroads, pursuant to this contract on what we want them to focus on? And so, I mean, I would encourage you to jump in here, but we listed it here today here, not to modify this agreement per se tonight, but just not the review in the way we often use it around here, but just kind of, and my thought here was we might just want to offer specific direction to Crossroads, maybe just meet with Ben to understand what does 20 hours a week ultimately look like. Is there certain maintenance we could request that happens every first and third week, once a month, or something like that? But I mean, I'll turn it over to you to kind of offer a more practical perspective.
Yeah, so this kind of came up as a discussion as we're preparing to open Tumlison. Ursula and I both were completely blindsided by the amount of added work that would come with Tumlison and the added care that would need to be taken care of in the new park area itself. We've, you know, since we've talked with you, Sean, we had a great meeting with Ben. We were able to kind of outline some plans on what we thought would be good for him. One of the suggestions that we had was splitting some of this added work between Crossroads, Parks Management, and Priority, because some of it is gonna fall under Priority to manage the landscaping, but then the little dome area inside is gonna need to be cleaned out on a pretty consistent basis, because it's kind of a tunnel and it just sits in there. We've got a lot of debris coming from trees that's on brand new equipment, and so we're gonna have to have things kind of wiped down. So we had a great conversation with Ben on what we wanted to see Crossroads managing, wanting them to walk through pretty consistently, especially the first 2 years, because our warranty, we need to be able to know what's happening inside the playscape, if there's any items that do need to be adjusted, or we need to notify the warranty on that. So he was able to handle that. One of the really big concerns is the wasps. It's a great open area for wasps, lots of little nooks and crannies in there, and so that's something that Ben's gonna kind of really manage. And then, you know, he walked it with us and he was able to say, yeah, this is, you know, we can definitely add this to our side, and in agreement that there are some things that we're gonna need to add to Priority so that we can make sure we're managing our 20 hours, because it will add additional time to them already. And so we were trying to not have to amend this contract and still make sure we were getting the full scope of the park cared for.
Sounds good to me.
So I feel, is there anything to add? I feel like it was a great meeting.
No, I think that's, you
Yeah.
have the points. But we do expect to see a clear addendum added to Priority Landscape. Crossroads, we're gonna keep it as is, keeping them in their 20 hours, but we will clearly need to lean on Priority as far as the additional items are
Yes.
concerned.
Okay.
And there's new landscaping and stuff too, so that would
Right.
naturally roll up under Priority.
Yeah.
You know, to be sure, it's additional stuff that wasn't considered in their contracts.
Right.
It's things like pressure washing, stuff like that, that would take Crossroads longer than necessary probably, because they're in Priority, that's part of what they do.
Yeah.
They go, that
Leaf
falls more under
blowing,
their
all
scope.
that kind
Yeah.
of additional debris, things that Crossroads doesn't do, but.
And to be sure that from a renewal perspective, we're pretty granular every year, I think, for
Yes,
priorities.
absolutely.
So I think in particular, if we do an amendment, that would be easy to roll in, whereas, you know, I think when we amended this contract, I think the hope was, let's see if we can
Yes.
stick with this one for a minute.
Yeah, so there shouldn't be any need to make an amendment to theirs. We just wanted to make sure everyone was on board, because it does fall under parks. However, we're trying to make sure we're managing the amount of work that's gonna be added.
And I think credit to the subcommittee here to getting out in front of the maintenance before it started, to know what we'll be looking at here, and hopefully another month or so.
Excellent. All right.
Thank you for
Yeah,
doing
thank you
that.
for that work on that. Y'all did a lot of work on that. We appreciate it. Excellent. Okay.
And Director Logan.
Yes, Director Logan, folks, who's feeling well. All right, so that gets us to item 21A, moving us to 22A, which is report directors from Armbrust and Brown, including 22A, order establishing rules and regulations governing recreational facilities and related fees and charges.
So board members, the amenities subcommittee has been looking to undertake some updates to the park rules. I have reviewed these. What you have here in your packet is a red line version of the existing rules. And Amanda, I think you probably, I've come in here and kind of fine tuned some stuff here. You want to walk through all the red lines here, or even just kind of illuminate what the general thrust of a lot of these, the general comments here. I think one of the things is that we're bringing stuff online with the reservation system and stuff like that. And I think that was one of the bigger things, but there seems to be just kind of some Some clarification throughout, do you have any general comments in there?
Just generally, we were trying to make them a little bit more reader friendly. I know we only post so many rules visually throughout the parks, and so trying to go through and make sure that we were pretty clear. Some of them are very wordy, and so adjusting some of them to just very simple explanations of what it is. We are having to add some additional language around the scooters and e-bikes and where they can be used and defining our designated areas. And then just most of it is similar. Some of it is adjusting a little bit for our dusk to, like our curfew times. I know we had done a trial basis, and that has gone very well on not locking the gates. Germano obviously is still being locked, but there has not been any uptick or any additional concerns as far as
I
the
was curious
security.
about this line earlier. It says you redlined sunrise and then put dusk. Did you mean, dawn? It's 10 PM?
That's not my, yeah, I'm not sure, I was actually just looking at that, that's not my red line, I'm not sure.
I noticed that as well, and I meant to ask that question.
Part of the concern with 10 PM is, in the winter time, 10 PM is very dark.
Yeah.
And so, having a dusk,
Well, but this is changing it.
yeah, I'm not sure, I don't know, Lisa, if we're able to see whose red line that was, so we
It's
can
probably
verify.
just a typo.
Yeah.
Because that
I
doesn't
just don't
make
wanna,
sense.
I don't wanna speak to something that may have been, had some logic behind it, I don't know what the thought process is behind it.
That might have been.
So maybe we
That's
could,
kind of what I was thinking.
if
And
we,
I mean, there's a number of items here, I guess I've got, not to totally hijack, but I mean, I have a little bit of concern about how we have number 2 worded, right? Because I'll just be blunt. Select baseball teams that have residents that use our field, those are frequently a commercial activity for their coaches, right? Like, it says no commercial activity or any use, right?
I'd also point out that you have food trucks in the parks as well, so.
But I guess my point is, I think that we might, I would prefer clarity on, like, there's a few of these things I can already see, like number 4, no destructive activities, like, what is a destructive activity, right? There's not a definition section like in the state code, right? Where we have a whole list of definitions,
I think if you're comfortable with the board wants to, we could certainly treat this like we did the CCW proposed rules, and everybody take a good look at them and provide, any updates.
we were asked to do that last time.
We were, I guess, so I guess some of the stuff in here still doesn't quite.
The only,
Yeah, I mean, we can open for, thoughts from the rest of the board, but I mean.
so the only thing, other than clarifying, number 1, we talked in executive session about a couple of things missing behavior-wise, like related to the recent incidents. So that might be one thing to add, would be, I can send a red line if you'd like, but,
Yeah, we can make a note.
that just, that one particular behavior that we were talking about.
Yes.
Well, I think we gotta get to the root of that maybe next month's meeting before we start talking about policy on trespass warnings.
I just meant
The
that that's,
behavior that led to it.
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the trespass policy, although that is what we were talking about. I'm just saying that we talked about that particular behavior not actually being against the rules in here.
Okay.
Yeah, because like we strike,
But you're right, that's just not what I.
because like we strike number 11, no motor driven vehicles, right? And actually, I had spoke to Sean earlier before the meeting, so I was trying to look through this red line, right? I wasn't sure you made this change, but, some of the questions about e-bike usage, like, I'll be honest, before the meeting, there was a father and son riding e-bikes in a dirt bike park, right? And the question I posed to Sean was that we explicitly prohibit e-bikes up in the new number 7, but I'm like, I feel like we might inadvertently be opening the door to gasoline-powered vehicles again by removing number 11, when I think the intent is anything that has a motor should not be used in certain areas, right? An electric motor is a different power for a motor, the same as a gasoline, so, honestly, I guess, I will just say personally, if we want to do something to move forward, I know that we've added language at the front about, how we're reserving facilities, right? is Exhibit G now for reservations, right? And so I was thinking, to get some motion forward, right? I would probably be willing to entertain a motion to adopt the changes to the rules related to reservations, to make them reflect where we are on that. And then maybe pin the other changes for further discussion. So a couple of them I don't quite, maybe some of those have been just moved around, but.
Well, that's what I'm looking at reading through some of this. I think I would like to postpone until Director Logan is able to participate in this, because I know a lot of this, she has very strong opinions on. I wanna say, number 11, I know we had addressed that in some other capacity.
I mean, it's kind of mixed in other exhibits, right? But I guess I'm not sure why we.
So I think the goal was to remove this complete, like the way this verbiage is laid out, and make it more clear by presenting this. Like the layout of this is a little bit better than the legalese.
Right.
I get it, but I guess my concern is that, and Sean, maybe applying code instructions too in the weeds here, but if you say something at the top, above all the other subclauses, you go to court, they say, well, you meant that to apply to everything, but if you deal with it down in the subclauses and the top part's silent, and it turns out that we missed something in our exhibits that we wanted to prohibit motorized vehicles in, they're gonna say, well, you didn't put it in the right place in the rules.
David, and I agree, because you're right, the Exhibit A are the rules and regs for all district parks and facilities. With that said, if you look at Exhibit C, it does explicitly say no motorized vehicles, and you look at Exhibit E, bike trails and BMX, and there is implicit language, but I don't disagree with your sentiment.
But I guess the point is, I don't think there's anywhere that anybody wants to have, I mean, totally wrong, don't be totally wrong on this. My understanding from us here on the board, and correct, there isn't an area we desire to allow motorized vehicles to be used, correct?
In the parks.
Anywhere in the parks, right?
So our
So my point is
understanding
that,
is that-
putting in the exhibits versus, where it is in A currently, would they be like, yeah, anywhere in our parks, no matter what you're doing, you
Right.
can't have a motorized vehicle. If you dumped it in the exhibits, well, I wasn't on the trail, right?
Right.
I was
It
in the
does say,
big field
but-
at Tonkawa, right?
Right. It doesn't hurt to put it in.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
it's not gonna hurt to have it there. I think one of the things, and again, this may be something that we have a conversation with Deputy Lovato here. My understanding is, as long as the bike or scooter or device is street legal, we cannot say they cannot be on the sidewalks. So, because the sidewalks are public property.
But you can't.
Well,
So like they can ride on the
County
sidewalks.
domain.
Yeah, they can ride on the sidewalks, they just can't be on the grass or the trails. Is that, do you remember that discussion?
Yes.
Only reason I asked, I think they're treated state law like bike, well, okay, let's not get too far in the weeds, I think there's some issues there. But I guess one point I'll make is, to the extent you have changed the reservation system, we need that to reflect in the rules.
We have not been able to update the reservation system. We need to know what we're gonna do as far as cost is concerned.
Okay, that's what I wanna make sure, because if we have stuff out of compliance, in the sense we're already doing, I'd like to get it in compliance, but so the changes about application or reserve facilities in Exhibit G does not mean it's need to be done today, because we're not doing it that way yet. Is that correct?
We haven't done it that way yet.
Okay.
And I don't think that the cost, as far as the fields is included in there either. I didn't see
Okay.
that in there.
Yeah, so, because that was my concern, is that there was stuff that we are currently doing that needs to be addressed, I want to get addressed, but I think Director Stansfield, given that you don't seem to have anything you have to change at this moment, if you want to pin this for
Yeah, we can put it.
Director Logan for her to come back, I think that wouldn't hurt, I mean, is
We're
there
not
any
opening
objection to
the
that?
courts until the park is complete, right?
Right, we're not opening
Okay, so
up
we have
till-
time.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, but we really do need the red line, we need this. Please take your time, go through it, get all of your information back to me so that we can make sure that when we bring this in April, that this actually is something we can finally, I'm sorry, March.
In March.
March.
We don't wanna wait that long.
I was
Wait,
like,
so no objection leaving this pending?
Reasonable, I thought I may mention this in the email, but the Exhibit G also is the application to reserve and there's liability. And I don't know if we would include a waiver in there as well, but we can catch up on that.
we need to.
Okay. All right, so that moves on to item 23. Is there anything?
No, I don't think so.
Nothing else from my report. Nothing
Okay.
else yet, there, other than you mentioned your next regular meeting, which would be.
March 25th.
Mhm. Okay. Anything item on 24? No one needs a future agenda item discussed right now, right? We're good.
I move to adjourn.
All right.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank y'all.